It's easier that way. We'll just circle the wagons at some point and go back to an earlier talking point, and that'll be the topic of the show.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? Roll up your bag.
The ceremony is about to begin.
Fire it up. Let the smoke hit
Hi,
your
guys.
chin.
What up, Becca?
Happy
Cheers, abolished.
Cheers,
Thursday.
yeah. I need to get in YouTube chat.
Yeah, man.
What are all these weird apps popping up on my screen? Is that you, Abolish? Who's doing that?
Am I popping ads up?
I don't know. Are there apps?
What?
Is that Abolish doing that?
No.
Popping apps out.
Yeah, there's all these weird apps on the side of the screen that came and went. There they go again. They're back. It's like
That's not me.
It's not me, bro.
a little smiley face. What is this? Do you see this?
What are you doing, bro? Did you get hacked? Are you having the Max Headroom moment over
by
there?
Hermes, Twins,
I think
Wello.
it's an update.
What are all these playbooks by Gondiola? Embarked by Hermes.
What is going on, huh?
I don't know. There are all these strange little things in here.
Strangeness.
But anyway, we got Purple Sage in the chat and Kazu saying, yo, hello.
What
all.
up, fellas? What's going on?
We have an exciting week because we have all the savers for flavors back in the house, man. I'm rolling up some Citrique.
What? We back in?
Happy to have some lemon, lime, pine, fine goodness.
Hell yeah.
A true solvent in itself. If
Cheers,
you will.
Daddy Red.
Cheers, Daddy Red.
Cheers, Blue Kids.
Incredibly pleased that they made it home safely. We had quite the snowstorm in the Midwest. Michigan got hit hard. A lot of
Yeah.
places in the Midwest got hit really hard. Hope everybody's safe. Mama Red and Daddy Red, their flight from Mexico came flying in right at like the tail end of that storm, man. So there was already like a foot of snow on the run. Well, a foot of snow had already come through, probably a good 6, 8, 10 inches throughout the area, throughout southeast area over here.
Yeah, I think we got like 7 or 8. Cheers, Jay.
Seemed like the shoveling would never end yesterday.
Yeah. I always make the mistake of just waiting until the very end, and then I have to like dig out a
Cheers, Raptor.
seems like never ending amounts. Cheers, everybody, coming through.
Right on.
What's up,
Yeah,
chat?
not missing much yet. We're just kind of lapping. I have that. Welcome to Polarity Science. You know, we might
Welcome
have
to the show.
new faces, some new friends, some new people in chat, some new people probably popping in any moment. And
People from the flat.
yeah, I don't know. I don't even think I mentioned this show to anybody at the Fledge. But
What the fuck?
people at the Fledge, dude, I'm turning.
Oh my
promotion,
god.
man. We got
Yeah, you're not good at the
Without
self
saying we need
promotion.
shirts.
dude, we got
Wait a minute. Hold on. The guy that passed me a real business card with his real name on it when I first met him, he says he's not good at
I don't have
Come on.
I don't have a Polarity Science business card for one.
I know. We got to get you one.
For me to be able to give any information when the music's really loud and you can't hear anybody talk anything other than what's visually in front of you, it's very difficult to talk about anything, let alone all these crazy words like entheogens and words that really nobody knows.
But what does entheogen mean?
It's just way too
Natural plant medicine.
Yeah, but if you have been at the Fledge and any of that, cheers. But anyway, man, diversion, danger. Not trying to divert.
Diversion.
If you are new to the show, we like to talk about harm reduction and entheogens and all that stuff. So we're just kind of like taking it back to where we kind of started from, because things get off track and we get into too deep of the woods and we kind of get off topics and track, and nobody really knows what the hell our purpose is here at all. So we're going to kind of let you know because we don't get the chance. We're not.
We had a 2-minute pre-show, right?
Yeah. Daddy Red says his neighbor shoveled his driveway. Very nice. Sure.
Hell yeah.
Let's get out
There's
there.
some State Farm shit there, like a good neighbor.
Oh yeah.
The shovel man is there.
So yeah. How you guys doing? What's been going on in the garden? Skilbo, what's that jar of white stuff in front of you there? Is that popcorn buds? Look like some
No.
VCs that have been sitting in the cabinet wet too long.
Yeah. What this is the mushroom. This is what's going to be going on. This is the jar of goodness where it starts. I want to give a shout out in the very beginning to Purple Sage. Shout out for sending this to me. And I also have the large kit that goes with it.
Wow.
As
It's good that that jar is a wide mouth jar too.
Dude, it's so much better that way, isn't it? Instead of
Yeah.
fighting with what's in there. Got some nice jungle casing here. Right. And then, bam, look at that. 5 pounds right there. And this already has the micropores in it. So I'll be ready to go. I'm just trying to make sure, because I'll tell you, to be honest with you, when I first started watching people do this, I would think like at this point, like, oh, it's definitely ready to go, definitely ready to go. Like you can break this up a little bit and that will all come back in there. It'll be even thicker. So abolish Nas. Do I get a Padawan for that or what?
I take my religion seriously nowadays.
And then what do you do from there, Skilbo? Then you're going to let that recolonize, and in a few days you're gonna layer that with the substrate in that tub. What you got?
I'm gonna layer that. This is the garbage bag liner in here. So this is what keeps it from getting side lit. Make sure that shows up. Yeah. So then I'll peel this tape off so that it can breathe. And it will be rocking and rolling. I reached in and I got the old Blurple light out. So the 4x4 is all set up. I'm just trying to, I want to really make sure that I'm successful with this. So I really want to make sure that I'm getting the most bang for my buck. This is Melmac. And I'd also like to say that you can go to, let me do this real quick since we're going to do this the proper way. Share screen. Is Red allowing us? Oh, host has disabled sharing. Rats.
What do you got to do? You need to share?
Yeah, I need to do a share. Boom, boom, boom. See if you can remember how to do this or not. You have to right click my picture and make co-host. I think it was how we used to do this on Zoom back in the day.
Spotlight, pin, chat, stop video, mute you. A lot of local
Top
file.
right hand corner.
Shut the fuck up, Skilbo.
Should I allow you to do?
Make him a co-host.
There you see.
Top right-hand
You
corner.
can make him a host. You can't make him a co-host.
Host or a co-host.
If you host me, I'll throw it back to you. Mwah.
The host.
I am the host.
Skilbo's the host now.
I am the host.
Oh, over what you.
So we are going
Look at
to
me. Look at
share
me.
that.
Anything strange happens, I didn't do it.
You didn't do it, right? So this is it right here. Ready, set, grow.
So how deep are you going to go with the substrate? Are you going to use the whole 5 pounds?
I don't know. For a tub this size, I probably could. If that's what he put for it, I'm sure that's probably going to be how we're going to go. 3 or 4. So there we go. And this is the purplesage.com. So definitely go through. You go down to the bottom here, all these nice pictures. Come down, the jungle mix casing. So you get the monotub, the FAE pre-cut bag liner, 5 pounds of the grow bag, a personal substrate, pasteurized, 1 quart mason jar, modified spawn lid, hydrated pasteurized corn ready to go, the moss casings, and then you just have to do the micropore tape and that. But you can do it with lion's mane, reishi, shiitake, mutton. I love this. Or choose a microscopy variety if you enjoy this pastime. And if you already have ones, you want to go. So check it out. Go back up to the top here one more time. Boom. So I'm excited to be able to do that. I as someone who has, if I'm honest about it, let's see, I'm going to be 50 here pretty soon. And the first time I did mushrooms would be like 30, well, I don't know, 35 years ago or so, something like that. So one of the major issues has always been the accessibility, availability of these. And granted, there's the old Terrence and Dennis McKenna book on how to grow your own, but it wasn't something that was very easy to get your hands on. You know what I mean? It was even scarier to fuck with that than it was cannabis in a lot of instances, So to see this changing, one thing that I do know is that the tide is changing. And just like happened with cannabis, where, over time it became seen as legitimate, as in helping people. I'm seeing the same thing again with more and more people advocating microdosing and the benefits that it helps them in their day-to-day life. So as more and more people come online with that, then the conversations can really begin. And one of the great things is that, back in the old days, dude, a lot of these mushrooms didn't have names. Some did, you get the blue meanies and whatnot. But nowadays, there are just like with cannabis seeds, man, there's just so much variety out there. Look at Abolish going, you want to speak on that, buddy?
Dude,
Skilbo,
it's a
that
never-ending
also-
story there. Like, you're
that
never
also-
gonna grow them all.
Would you say?
Yeah, sorry, I was cutting you off, Bosh. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying there's so many strains out there right now. It's a never-ending story. You're literally gonna be, if you try to grow different ones all the time, it's gonna take you forever. Because even if you go through, say, like a whole website's worth of stuff, there's people that are breeding those different types of mushrooms together. I don't completely understand that, but that seems really, really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and that the whole variety thing, there being so many mushrooms, just medicinal, edible, and poisonous, and
Edible and otherwise, right?
inedible. It brings into another like facet of mycology that involves mycophobia, where there's a very large population of people that are terrified of mushrooms. They don't want to touch them.
But I think that's kind of a dosage thing though, too. Oh, you mean like people that are just
stigma is like-
scared
They're
of
worried about
mushrooms in
tripping.
general
They're worried about the mushrooms
being
killing
poisonous.
them, being
Okay.
poisonous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the two things. It's because it was grown in shit, or because people think you're poisoning yourself when you take them.
And I mean people
What
that
I
like
always hear.
Daddy Red's, I don't want to say he's like mycophobic, but he doesn't necessarily
He's
like,
not interested.
mushrooms on pizza or something. He's not interested in like mushrooms in a salad or like mushrooms in food or shiitakes in a soup or like anything like that, and for a long time it was like mushrooms are poisonous. You don't want to fuck.
I wonder if he had any Daddy Red, have you had any experiences when you were younger? Because we know that you were footloose and fancy free when you were a much younger man.
Yeah, I really don't know if he's had any.
I wonder if it's like you had a negative experience, or like you in the very beginning when Red and I started this specific show. It was Red said, I want to do a show and I want to talk about, safe access and test your medicine. And then we had the base story of everything is your cousin.
Well, I'll tell you what did happen was that did happen was my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I was like 12,
That's a hell of a hurdle to clear. You know what I mean?
like almost 30 years ago. Yeah. It's a hell of a hurdle to clear. Daddy Red's nephew, who's like a 14-year-old kid, his brother's son. I mean, yeah, it's terrifying. To be known, those were poisonous mushrooms. No one identified them correctly. They were sold in a baggie. Kids being kids, trying to hustle each other, unfortunately. And my cousin got the shit end of the stick, and he almost died because of it. He got sold poisonous mushrooms and he ate them thinking he was going to have some fun, and he and a couple other buddies got sick. My cousin ended up having to get a liver transplant. A young girl ended up having to lose her life in order for my cousin to live.
It's a 14-year-old.
She was a 16-year-old. My cousin was a 14-year-old. She lost her life in Georgia in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
He has her liver. Yeah.
Cheers, Dags.
And so that was traumatic for our whole family. And I guess that kind of played into like a little mycophobia.
Absolutely understandable too. Why it would be.
You know what I mean? And
there was so much propaganda against it. It's not like there were other people out there saying, no, really, it's, it's not that bad. You're like, yeah, sure, buddy. Cheers, hillbilly.
Yeah, mid-90s, dude. Propaganda was everywhere for everything. It was middle of the
It's not like you can just Google shit back then and fucking be like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, you really couldn't.
You got to go to the local library, hope that those pages aren't ripped out of the book by some other adventurous psychonaut at some point,
I knew nothing of Terrence McKenna, even when I was like 18 to 20 and I first tried psilocybin mushrooms. They didn't look like cubensis. They looked like little cyanescents or something. They're like little browns,
little flat ones, yeah.
Flat ones like you see in the woods,
Cheers, Aldridge. Cheers, Noah.
Had a little bit of that, and I was like, okay, this is psychoactive. I took a small amount just in case, because I was terrified of the fucking thing. But objectively, I'd done a little bit of research on it, and
You did it smart though. And
Heroid and stuff had existed. I think maybe even
Shroomery, remember?
org or something like that may have existed at the time. There were chat rooms. I mean, we are talking about the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. But
that was when everybody was a cop, man. You can't talk about this shit on stuff. Everything I say is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not doing anything illegal.
Watch your
that
screen
stupid shit that used to be at, like, the bottom of people's things. And
Don't creep around for more than 15 or 20 minutes on those websites. Get off the website.
Get off the website.
Watch your screen time. I was
Like
only
the anarchist cookbook shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't save, don't print.
Damn, I've only been into mushrooms about 3 years now. I think it's been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before then, I thought it was just something people took to get super high and see shit. I had no idea it was medicinal.
Mhm.
When you guys started teaching me more about this stuff, that's when I really got into it. Like, oh wait, this could help me and the people around me.
You know what a cool thing for me was abolished was when the four of us, Red, Becca, me, and you, were at your apartment. You were like, all right, come on, check this out, man. And had them all spread out. I was like, what the fuck? You had those Fantasias. Remember the Fantasia ones?
Mhm.
What was that? The
What up? Yeah.
here now is that
That's where I got the Wallies from. That was the day that I got the Wallies from for the
Yeah,
first
we
time.
had, what was it, Walligons? We had the Plantasia Mysteries. There was two others, wasn't there? What else was it?
Yeah, I think the other one might have. I think you had a Golden Teacher, and because Red and Becca got some too. I can't remember what they grabbed.
when I grew my
I can't remember either.
I think that we're at like the point now, since it's legal in our township, I think I can talk about, is there like
Those Fijis?
Yeah, I grew those features in like 2019, but is there like a statute of
Those
limitation?
things changed my life.
Either way, I'm gonna talk about it. Okay, so I grew those Fijis like around that time, and it was the first time that I had mushrooms, and at the time, like I don't even think I had like taken any more than like a 70 milligram dose, like a 0.07, tiny dose, less than a 0.1, for like a year, until like old man Hermit Hash started talking me up to say that like just take it as a non-event, don't worry about it, non-event. And I started taking like 0.1s and 0.15s, but before I grew that batch, and by the time I met you guys, that batch was already like a year and a half old. It had been like a decade since I had consumed mushrooms. I hadn't eaten mushrooms.
You did such a good job on them. Don't you
They
remember?
were so pretty, man.
When you showed them to me, I said those are just some of the most beautiful, clean looking mushrooms I've ever seen. They were harvested at the perfect time. Like, you did a good job.
After I had those 2 tabs that tripped me out, I didn't want to touch any psychedelics from anybody else ever again. I had found about
Like, I can do this shit myself, like weed, man. I don't need to fucking go through all this sketchy shit.
I learned about the bunk police. I got myself some tests. I found myself some doses, tested the doses, found my medicine, found my Hoffman 25 medicine. And I was like, all right, I found that, but I still hadn't fucked with mushroom. I wouldn't trust anybody's mushrooms, because I would think that somebody had spritzed them with 2CI or some stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why anybody would do that, but who knows, right?
But that was the propaganda at the time. That was the word on the street, man.
For me, like, I don't know what was in those tabs, so I don't know what's on anything. You know what I mean? Those tabs blew me back, and I don't know what the fuck they were, and they were way different than anything else that I had ever taken. And at the time, 25I was going around. Everybody was getting N-bombed. People were in the news talking about like having vascular constrictive issues. Some people had died from that shit. Like, there were some festival fatalities due to N-bombs and all kinds of
stuff. Got to carry the one, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that dosage shit, man. That's the one thing, is when I was saying earlier, when you were talking about how you eased into it, that 0.07, is that you really should do that. You really should go toe in the water. And not just, and as we were saying, with so many different genetics out there, with such differing levels of psilocybin inside, that it would behoove us all to ease into this shit rather than just being like, well, I'm always been a 5 gram kind of guy. So I'm just going to fucking dive in at my level and we'll figure it out from there. Like, that's not always the best choice to do things, man.
And
Cheers, Uncle Rick.
a good reason of that being is like Abolish said, like you said, the varieties are so much right now. There's so many varieties. And I'm talking about psychedelic varieties. The potency varies so widely, and a lot more varieties are coming around, just like cannabis, where the high 30% are like really popular.
Like the apes, man.
Those
The
MB potency mushrooms are like that's all everybody's getting now. Like nobody's fucking with golden teachers and stuff. They're all that fucking enigma and mind bottling.
Come on now.
Little
my
bitty
next
little
roast,
fuckers that
Skilbo.
look like
Golden teachers will always be.
I hope I'm just fine with golden teachers, man. But for some reason, everybody's got these whatevers, little tiny little things, and you can't eat more than a
Have
point.
you seen the albino penis envy, the gigantic fucking ones?
That's the ones I just finished up growing.
Yeah, man. Those are fucking crazy.
Avery's
So-
albino penis envy.
Imagine being the 5 gram guy and taking 5 grams of one of those. Not really.
You got.
For science.
I got humbled my first time with them Fijis.
I
took
got
a whole eighth.
humble.
I took a whole eighth, man, and I was just either sick or I was curled up in a fetal
Hey.
position,
Hey,
blasted up.
And you were good for me. You're like, I think I'm just gonna back
Yeah.
away from this for a little
Yeah.
bit. But like, no, come on, Abolish. It's cool, man. Like, no, I think I'm gonna sit back in the cut a little bit here.
That's why the dosage of paper can be so varied too. The paper is varied, and then if it's not the real thing, those NBOMEs, like let's say you're partying with some low grade paper, you know what I mean, and your low grade paper is like 50 to 100 mics a hit, and so you're eating 3-4 hits partying. Next thing you know 10 strips or whatever, just to like, because
Then you're that dude at the Dead Show that's fucking just geeking out by the fucking second song,
not
man.
necessarily. If
Becca's doing it already.
If it's your buzz, LSD has that.
Yeah, man. It's a party thing, man.
Well, no, it has that tolerance though. Like even if you're microdosing LSD for like a year straight, eventually you need to be taking like 4 hits a day to feel a microdose of LSD. You know what I mean? Like it's like that, where like your body just won't feel. I'm not saying take 4 hits a day, but like there's a point where you can take a 10 strip and really not feel it. So if you're taking a 10 strip and not feeling it, and you take a 10 strip of 25I NBOME, 10 strip of 25I NBOME, if you're used to taking 10 strip of L, you know what I mean, and you don't really feel it, and you take 10 strip of L because just to get off, and you go to take a 10 strip of 25I, which is a completely different substance with a totally different safety profile, it does different reactions to your body. That 10 strip of 25I actually is overdose and will kill you because it's not LSD. And that's the big difference is, there's just a piece of paper with an image on it of a cartoon character with a bunch of little scored prints in it, perforated prints. It doesn't say anything about what's actually inside that paper.
Nobody knows what the recipe is for this one, right?
It is right. LSD has a very, very great safety profile where you could that whole thing and have a rocket ship to the moon and ride for 3-4 days and come back to Earth eventually.
Baby, come back.
There's 9 out of 10 times of a chance you're going to be okay physically. But if you do that with any of those other substances, man, it's like cardiac arrest. What was crazy about the NBOME thing was it wouldn't get you like you'd feel fucked up that night, but it would cause vascular constriction. So like it would be over the course of like 2 weeks later, you would get fucked up. You'd have this like 2-week long vascular constriction. All of a sudden you'd go into cardiac arrest like 2 weeks after dosing.
You swerved me, Brett. I thought you were going somewhere else when you were talking about taking that 10 strip like that. As you were saying, it's got a really big LD50. I was going to say this is a great time to circle back to Terrence McKenna. And his line was death by astonishment.
There's a 5 grams of a clean substance. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Dude, I took that 8 strip of fucking Robert shit. And I'm telling you, man, dude, memorable is like a true understatement.
I can't believe it.
That was like almost a fucking year ago, dude. And I really haven't fucking gone back to it, not because I'm like jangly about it, but I'm like
bicycle day.
What
Shout out to Robert.
Exactly, man.
Fucking cool, dude, man.
What kind of stuff did you see?
Hook me up with this hoodie.
Did you see some cool stuff? Like normal vision?
Well, it was like everything had fucking waves to it. You know, like the old school when you would see the fake fireplace that they would have, like the flames would go up on things. Like everything had that wispy motion to it, and it broke down into like a fucking semi cartoonish, leaning towards geometric fucking thing, and just nonsense, man. It's fucking nonsense. So.
But did it seem fluid and natural? And
Oh yeah, no, there everything's clean about it. It
Yeah.
wasn't bad like that. It's just it's kind of like the difference between closing a program out and then doing a hard shut off on the machine and just pushing and holding the power button until that fucking thing kicks off and then holding it until it kicks back on. Like, all right, let's ride.
What was
Good.
weird was I was very used to like these very natural formations under like L20. What I was told was L25. This is a decade, decade long ago story. Blast from the past type story. But because I actually haven't gotten like kaleidoscope vision or anything like that in over a decade, so like I recall that kaleidoscope, paisley, these very natural fluid features. What I see behind
Mushrooms will do that too, though.
Skilbo, what's behind you, that motion behind you,
That mandala.
that mandala was like a moving kaleidoscope, and it would be
Here, we'll move it for you, Red. Look.
it could be yeah, and that would be
That's the way the bathroom
It's
runs
breathing.
every time I take mushrooms.
and that would almost be a filter over my vision, right?
Right.
So it's everything I would see everything, but there would be that as a filter, you know what I mean? And then you have this like mandala filter, right? That you're kind of looking through.
I think that would be
And it's kind of like and it's pearlescent, you know what I mean? And anything that has
Shimmery.
anything that has a round edge has a shooting rainbow round edge, you know what I mean? And anything that moves has a trail and a trace. And for that was like fluid, natural LSD visuals for me. But then when I got that other stuff, it was much more of like a digital, like mechanized, like robotic. It was really weird. It felt synthetic. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. A synthetic is synthetic.
It
Yeah.
felt synthetic. It was really weird. It felt analog, or it felt silicon or something like that, you know what I mean? It felt more of like a silicon reality, whereas like DMT and LSD is more like our carbon reality, it was
So one is digital and one is analog, is what you're saying.
yes, dude, yes, like LSD, much psilocybin, DMT are very much more of an analog type of a connection. I felt no connection with this stuff. I felt more of just like this,
Like watching a movie.
yeah, it was really weird. It was more like watching the inside of a spaceship. There were so many buttons everywhere, just buttons everywhere,
things get really cartoony for me. Like it'll be very cartoony. Like I'm in an animated something right now. This is the couches, like the blue couches that he used to sit on and do all the shows. One time it looked so unreal. But it was
warped.
But it was just a cartoon chair, like
the Simpsons couch.
Yeah, something like that. It was creepy.
The blue chair over there.
That used to be over there.
Yeah.
Guys,
That's what I'm going for, Uncle Rick.
I figured out how to roll joints.
Did you roll that joint?
What? Show it off.
My fourth one.
It's her fourth joint. She's been sitting here rolling joints like crazy.
Hell yeah. She said
I got too tired. Fourth
Mhm.
total.
Oh, just total. Sweet.
I got
dude.
tired of waiting for him to roll joints, and but it takes me longer. So, but it's fine. I'm getting it.
We kind of like
all
different
that
weed.
matters. Yeah.
He really likes lemon dozy, and like I like lemon dozy, but it also like it gives me like the weird thing in the head. You know what I mean? It's just a little too
Not your primary smoke.
too much lemon. Yeah, Citrique is in stock right now, and I'm all over it. It's
I
between
put this much citrique in there and that much lemon
Oh,
dozy.
that's kind of nice.
Oh, that's got a really good taste, I bet.
I
I
ran
seen a
out.
rainbow
Bright
driver
flavor.
on your guys' story the other day. I don't know how you're not
Which one?
smoking that all day.
Mm,
Which
Rainbow
one?
driver.
we need the rainbow.
It's so
Rainbow's
good.
back in stock.
She's pretty.
The Death Star is back in stock, and I've been smoking that.
Look,
The
look, damn you, look. This is what I have left.
Oh, Death Star or Rainbow?
Right.
Rainbow, damn it.
There's a decent
If I had, you guys are giving me way too much credit thinking I still have Death Star left now.
We pulled
I've
down
been known to hold on to some things for a few years, but come on.
7 Rainbow Driver plants, man.
Beautiful. Oh, shit, that's nice.
I like.
Cheers, Chad. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight.
I was just going to talk about Chad. They're all talking about the machine elms right now.
Get them. Everybody has their own way with it.
See some different substances going on in chat. I see Adderall and Special K.
Ooh, the K hole, huh?
A lot of stuff going on with ketamine right now, and that seems to be on the forefront of where like the
coming back around. That was like the 90s, you know.
Pharmaceutical companies seem to be wanting a really heavy hold on that one. Really, really good for depression and PTSD and veteran PTSD and things like war PTSD. And yes, it is a known tranquilizer for horses and animals and things like that, but that's not its primary use. It's, that's not what it was invented for. It just so happens to be what it's good for. Its primary use was a sedative. It had lots of uses. It was probably a wartime sedative or something like that. And out of its necessity, didn't really seem usable for humans because we had opium and things like that. So it's great for animals, but they found out that it's a great disassociative. And so it's being used in low doses. Well, I don't know what kind of doses. I've actually never done K. I've never experienced ketamine. I have a handful of friends that, I've been around it. I've definitely.
Wait, there's something I've had that you haven't. Well, I didn't have that straight.
Something I've had that you've had, the DMT, and you hadn't had DMT either, though.
So I think I was like 20, 21.
We've all had DMT. Let's be real.
Yeah. All right.
I did a lot of ecstasy for one summer, and some of the pills.
But was it ecstasy or was it something else?
It was, well, ecstasy was always mixed. It was MDMA mixed with either like coke or whatever they were cutting, but some of them were actually mixed with ketamine, and those were some of the most pleasant rolls that I ever had with ecstasy. I could see how it could be very therapeutic for people that have PTSD or stressed out all the time, because life is beautiful and everything's beautiful. Everything feels good.
A strange one. So, dude, you do bring up a strange one, because that one was like every brand or every shape or every whatever it was powder, dude. I had gotten this shit that looked like it was crushed up. I got this Molly one time. Now Molly was supposed to be pure MDMA, and I got this shit that was strictly it was crushed up ecstasy pills. You know what I mean? Like I could tell because it was a bunch of different colors and not crushed up. It wasn't a powder. You know what I mean? It was like a coarse ground ecstasy pill. It was fucking shitty. I'm like, what the fuck is this garbage? And but yeah, ecstasy was a strange one because there would be all kinds of drugs in it, from what I was explained to in like the early to mid 90s. My cousin would explain it to me, like
if it even contained any at that point stuff.
Cocaine. And what also was like the color of it would kind of, could kind of give you a guide. Like some of the blues and the greens might have like LSD on them and something. Some of the yellows.
I would think the experience is different though, because if you add a bunch of amphetamines to it, you're going in a different direction.
It really was different depending on which ones you got. Like there was like set varieties. You had like the Dolphins, then you had the Ferraris, and you had them in different stacks or whatever. And all those always had a corresponding whatever they mixed the MDMA with. It was different for each of those varieties.
I remember in the late 90s when raves were a big deal in Detroit, and like ecstasy was all over the news, and they were talking about holes being burned, and like all the propaganda was like going crazy, you know what I mean? And they were like finding out that there was like, it was actually all of that holes in the brain study came out to be completely invalid, if not like a completely different substance that they were talking about. All of it was propaganda. It was all trash. It was all over the news for a couple years, and so like it doesn't cause holes in the brain. And so that's why MDMA is being studied so much right now as well. And that might even be under FDA trials. I think FDA is getting there. They're like far along with MDMA. MDMA and ketamine are like the two main ones.
That's the next gold rush for big pharma. They're all in on that stuff.
That's where they're going to be. Yeah. Yeah. Well, because, you know, they're going to have the same fight as they do with psilocybin as they do with cannabis, right? There's a huge legacy market. You know, it can easily be
It's a good way to call it, right?
It can easily be cultivated at home, you know, and you know, you don't need pharmaceutical company. I don't know where to get the precursors for ketamine, you know, or MDMA. You got to like get sassafras. That's like depletion of the rainforest. You know, it's much better to be a synthetic at that point. So that's better off for chemists to deal with, and you know, that's probably more up to
People found a better replacement for that. It's some kind of, I don't remember what the plant was, but I've heard about people growing that actually indoors.
I think I've heard that too. Yeah, instead of sassafras. So
Growing what?
there's another plant that has the same analog. I don't know what the analog is. Somebody in chat might know what the MDMA analog is. Or might have access.
Chad is always
Don't know
like
what it is.
on spot.
But yeah, it's in a couple of different plants, but mainly in sassafras, specific type of fast growing wood in the rainforest, tree in the rainforest, and they'll extract the analogs out of that, alkaloids, not analogs, the alkaloids from the sassafras, and then I don't know, I think that at that point it goes worldwide from like a crude. I think they take the crude and then it goes worldwide and then it gets refined into the MDMA.
It's such a big, beautiful tree too. I think it takes a really long time to grow, so it's like a terrible thing to be doing.
People get into a lot of trouble when they get busted with that. People like transport it and they're wide open in their cars. You know what I mean? And if they get
that's just fucking dumb.
Yeah, and they'll get busted by like, you know, Department of Natural Resources and like wherever, Ecuador, you know, some shit like that, and they'll get busted, man. Yeah.
DP's talking about Aboga in chat. Yeah, it's a thing. It's from Africa, but very hard to get your hands on around here to help for addiction treatment. It's supposed to really help with people with opiate addiction.
Canada, I guess, is some areas. I think like Vancouver was one of those areas that used to do iboga, and that was very big for ibogaine, and that's very big for opioid withdrawal. In theory, get you off your opioids in like one session. I don't know what those sessions contain. I think it's a multi-day session, but yeah, supposedly you go through your entire withdrawal symptom scenario in just a couple of days. But ibogaine, I think, is that way to go. But yeah, I don't know much about it anyways.
DP in chat was saying that it is
great for
sourcing it. No, sourcing it is really detrimental.
Yeah. In those scenarios, you know, finding a safe analog to synthesize is the best bet.
Like DMT, you can get that from a lot of different things. You know, it's just a matter of how much is contained in the plant itself.
Yeah, you know,
what is it? The Mimosa hostilis? Is that it?
Yeah, I've never had exogenous DMT, but I've had endogenous DMT. You know, basically get it every night when we're sleeping, when we're meditating, and you know, you get your DMT rolling. We have it, we produce it. It's in everything. There's some really cool studies they're trying to figure out with it right now, but I've never smoked it, and it is in a lot of, you know, Mimosa hostilis and
it's hard to smoke, man.
A handful of
as someone who is a lifelong smoker of all things like fucking tobacco and cannabis and all this shit, dude. DMT smoke is the hardest fucking smoke to smoke. It is so fucking difficult, dude. Gave me the motherfucking sweats. Coughed like 5 times worse than the first time I ever took a dab on a super fucking hot nail the wrong way, the way everybody did back in the day.
You know, cannabis.
I was like, holy fuck. But then when I fucking kicked back, dude, like, okay, but god damn, that's a lot of coughing.
Smoking DMT, I think, is a very 20th century thing to do, though. You know what I mean?
What?
Yeah. Well, not. I don't mean. I mean, or 21st century,
Talking
whatever.
about the Bible was written on DMT.
I was like, wait a minute, the burning bush, man,
Not
could
on
be
smoking.
fucking.
Not on smoking DMT. We're talking ayahuasca, though. I don't think people have been like smoking DMT. I think that they've been.
I don't know. I think about the ones where you have to have another person where they have like the straw and they blow that crazy shit up your nose, like, and dude fucking blasts off to the fucking
that's like a
stratosphere.
Snuff. That's a snuff, but that's 5-MeO, and even that's a newer. That's I believe that the 5.
Is it like the buffalo shit then? Like the buffalo toad?
Buffalo toad.
Okay.
That's like as new
A
as
buffalo soldier.
A buffalo
like
toad?
Buffalo soldier.
Somebody since like the 70s figured out the buffalo toad thing. That wasn't a indigenous tribal thing. The 5-MeO is just something that's a heavy way to get there.
Gorski makes a good point in chat. He says, I mean, shit, I didn't really think about proper sourcing when I was younger and partying.
No, not at all. Not at all.
We just didn't know. We didn't know any better. It was a matter back then more of, did I get fleeced? Is this nothing or is this good? That's how I was. Like, did I get fleeced? No? Okay.
Luckily, I had some like seriously responsible people when it came to ecstasy or psychedelics or whatever around me, like you guys, and they made sure that it came from somebody that literally smuggled it up their ass from Amsterdam. And they made sure that everybody in the group always drank the proper amount of water. Everybody sat down, did all that. It was really like
it's responsible.
Good experience for whatever younger getting high stuff.
It's better than us at 14.
Well, I was always the one. I was always like worried about the overdose or having too much or getting the wrong substance.
I never did shit that could kill me. That was my secret, as I never did drugs that could kill me.
I just always assumed everything.
Like, that's the safest way to do it, man. You can be.
I always assumed everything was just spiked or wasn't what it was.
Someone slipping you the Mickey.
So I never took anything in like full dose. The only thing I'd ever taken full dose was probably cannabis, like eating a whole cookie. Even that, man. I feel like eating cannabis edibles, like I only like tried like a half a cookie or something like that to start. No way, man. I definitely I had a cannabis edible. I know I had a cannabis edible. Yeah, I ate a whole cookie. I might have eaten a couple cookies, dude. It was just
velvet cake. My first edibles in high school, and
oh shit, you were younger then.
Nobody told us dosage or anything, and there's just all these people at this bonfire and they were passing around a cake. I was like, okay. And I like cake. I ate a lot.
That's your downfall right there, dude. When we were at Painted Lady's house, that was your fucking downfall there too.
I'll just keep eating it. And then I was at home in bed, like watching a movie, and like my whole world was shifting, and I was like, what's going on? But I didn't care about sourcing or anything. Like if the person I got it from, like I knew or whatever, I usually didn't care, which I think is not the way, obviously. But I was a lot less
Feel so bad because like the majority, like probably the first half of my caregiving career, I would try to pack as much THC or whatever I could into edibles.
Mm-hmm. Remember the hash Kool-Aid?
Yeah, that was always the idea.
It was no punk right there, man.
I never thought about like lowering the dose. I always went with what the recommended dose, whatever I could find on a recipe online. A recipe online would be like a pound of butter to an ounce of weed. No care of the potency, just that's your ratio. So I would just ounce of butter to a pound.
You figure it's 15 to 20% THC and do the math.
Yeah. Well, not that weed, man.
This is that 8 to 12 shit.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's not because it's 1-to-1. It's just one. A little one, but it's just one.
You know what, man? I still believe that brick weed was probably had some CBD on it. I think that's why
it may have.
I think that's why this shit gave us a nice buzz.
I think it gave me a great buzz because of the scarcity of it elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's good weed,
dude. That was the thing, man. Like, if you think back in the late 80s, early 90s and shit, if you're a teenager, it's not super easy to be able to afford to buy weed at the cost that it was. Like, okay, you can get $100 ounce back then.
Yeah, right.
If you're cool, you could, but none of my friends were getting shit for that price. You know what I mean? You didn't even dream of buying like an house until I was like out of high school and shit. Like, just give me a 20, man.
Go pinch my mom's bag. She always had better weed than everybody else.
I look back on it,
Cut
man.
me in or cut it out, man.
That's too much weed for a kid to smoke.
They're talking about boofing DMT in chat now.
Smoke for a kid to smoke.
It's not butt
Butt chugging.
responsibly.
Butt chugging DMT, man.
Yeah, the DMT.
Shake your head about
it. DMT, yeah, it's in pens.
That's what you had about.
Pens are
You had
pretty nice.
pens.
Yeah, I've had.
But you had
I think-
different experience.
Yeah, I've had two different pens. I had one that gave a nice buzz and somewhat of a visual experience, and then the other one, I'd say it was more like microdosing mushrooms. No matter how many times you hit it, you didn't get any kind of trip off it or anything like that, but you felt good. It's like you had a good day. So
no, DMT being smoked is like more of a since like the 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s type of thing.
I think the earliest I heard Terrence talking about it's like 1968 or 69, something like that.
After it was synthesized, and then they started like smoking it. You know what I mean?
Ooh, let's be buds.
What about ayahuasca though, Skilbo? What about, that's what I was trying to get at. Like saying like the smoking part of it, like if it's like smoking a semi rubber, with diesel oil on it.
Well, the problem is that drinking ayahuasca is the same thing, only non-lung thing. It's more of a digestive tract thing. So you're going to have it coming out of both ends, and it's going to be a little bit messy.
What if we could get that ayahuasca boiled down into a crude?
Make RSO DMT?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Red, you're trying to kill us all.
Put into a capsule.
Oh, a time release DMT. Now we're really talking, baby.
Sure.
The
Wouldn't see
XR
why you
extended
can't just
release.
alcohol extract it just like everything else.
Could we modernize the I don't want to say modernize the ayahuasca, like as in like throwing shade on a culture, but like it's, if we're gonna modernize the medicine, disconnecting from letting the culture do the ceremonies the way that the culture does the ceremonies, and then to modernize it for those that are using it for medicine, to be able to encapsulate it in that sense, which is probably what's going to end up happening. I think that would end up being the way of the medicine people, and then what we'll end up getting is the pharmaceutical companies will end up matching the mind medicines with things like the synthetics that Shulgin invented, like 2CB and some other analogs of LSD and some things like that, because LSD has a lot of promise with microdosing and minimal tiny doses. I've seen this for 15 years, you know what I mean? The LSD is just very therapeutic in small doses. And then I heard Dr. Fadiman, James Fadiman, talking about it at least a decade ago, talking about microdosing. This is in the beginning of the word microdosing was first talked about. It was pretty much came out of James Fadiman's mouth. And I was in a YouTube rabbit hole looking up LSD, trying to learn about the bunk police and stuff like that. And
This is like a long time ago, like 2006 and shit. Something like that, 10 years ago.
Yeah, a good 10 years ago.
And I know 2006 wasn't 10 years ago.
My
Don't
only
fucking bust my
experience
chops.
with it is
Maybe-
microdosing.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I'd say
later
it's
than
better than
2000s.
microdosing mushrooms.
Yeah, and like there's a longevity to it. You don't have to like take so much dosing. If you keep your doses low, you don't build up as much of a tolerance as you do when you take higher doses of LSD and psilocybin. Like there's a lot of like benefits to the microdosing, and then over durations of time you start to notice the benefits and everything. But for what it is, for what it's worth, like, okay, I wanted to talk because we skipped last week, all right, and I'm going to talk about, like, we're going to get into a little LSD deep dive because of Owsley Augustus Stanley. Okay, last week was Owsley Stanley's birthday. It was like last Wednesday before the show. We were gonna have a show. We didn't have a show. We were like painting and doing a bunch of shit. As you can see, my sty got back inflamed again.
Did you get gooched, man? Is that what happened? Becca, did he get gooched?
I'm gonna say yeah for content. You know, it was
That's what I wanted. That's how you do it, Red. Play to the jokes, baby.
But he, you know, I mean, he had his butt right in my shoulders last night. I mean, it's a normal thing anyway, but I don't think that's what's doing it. I honestly think that it came back with a vengeance because I went to Cookie Town after Christmas.
What?
And, yeah, dude, I went really heavy on the sugars and the cookie and the.
Wow.
I think
that's not like you, so maybe.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Had some beers, we've had some drinks, you know. I think that this is a product of.
I think Becca has just been
a lacking microbiome.
Keeping you in line a little bit, man.
With one finger.
Pop him one, yeah, just like flanch him in the eye, like.
So it's not as you guys should have seen this back in October, man. This thing was like
yeah, and it's fucking painful, dude. It's not just like an eyesore. Get it both ways. Yeah. Good joke. And then but it's like your eye pressure is just fucking crazy.
Yeah. I can't.
It hurts every time you blink.
I got a little fuzziness in my vision,
If you can open your eye.
Said it got
all matted shut and shit.
Like, I was saying it hurts every time you blink.
Yeah. There's. You all right, buddy? Get it out. There you go.
He's been soaking it a lot and trying.
Yeah, you can just do like a hot compress for it. They do have some eye drops that you can use for styes that work really, really well.
Magnesium sulfate.
Your eye?
Every day, I warm up some water and I put some magnesium sulfate in the water and I soak the towel in it and then I put a compress on my eye for about a half hour.
I thought you'd be the tea bag guy, man. You get the tea bag and soak it.
Nice sterile solution. This one, yeah. At least I don't want to get it anywhere. Maybe after it goes, maybe when it doesn't have like the infection going on, but it killed the infection right away. It immediately started to go back down. Like that's like a week ago. Last week is when it was like getting bad and it was like covering up half my eye again. My eye gets all droopy and shitty. But this thing came on in like August and it really hasn't gone away. It was a sty on the other side of my eye. And it did go.
Is it like extreme gardening?
At first I thought it was like I got concrete in my eye because I poured some concrete and then all of a sudden my eye was really irritated the next couple of days and then I got a sty over to the side of this one.
This is the content they come for.
And then it went away.
Look at the ball just rubbing his eyes now. Get off your eyes, bro.
Because I get them too once in a while.
And what's funny is like I would always think I had one of our waitresses when I was in the service industry ended up getting a sty from like handling money and like rubbing her eyes and shit like that. And like I would always be cautious of it. I was like, that fucking looks painful. I don't want that shit to happen to me. That sucks. Like she had it like bad like I had it like in October. So like in August it came on, it went away, and then in October it came on. Oh, hold on. He's stuck. I gotta get him. You got him?
Yeah.
You got him?
Yeah.
You sure? I'll get him.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys.
All right, so we can answer Uncle Rick's question while they're away.
Do they lose potency?
Yeah. I mean, technically, when you're
properly stored,
growing them, they start to lose potency. If you don't harvest them right before the veil opens, you lose like 50% right there once they fully open. And then over time, you do have degradation, but I'm not sure the time period. It would have to be a really long time for it all to get out of it.
They're good for at least 2 years in my experience. I haven't tried anything older than that, but I still was able to get what I was looking for out of them after 24 months. But I would say that if a lot of people store them in like a fucking sandwich bag and shit, dude, don't do that. Everybody smokes weed. Get a glass jar. You know what I mean? Put the mushrooms in there. Put it in a dark drawer. What's the matter with you, bro? Did you get fanged or something?
Oh, she muted us.
He had his toe stuck in.
He got his paw stuck in his bed. So I went to go help him out, and I tried to do it. And he gave me a nice little. Don't grab my latch.
Don't you do it.
I don't know why I was.
Well, he was stuck. He finally.
He's kind of freaked out a little bit. That's all.
He's got a damn fatty mass on his gum. I don't know if it's what we got
right. It's not on the. It's on the inside, not the outside.
On the
Inside.
inside, yeah, it's like on his gum, you know what I mean? And like it's just this fat, dude. It's this gross fat hanging off his fucking gum. And it's not bugging him. Like he's eating
It's bugging him.
it like it's sort of starting to like, you know,
It's not something he can lance. It's got to be something that gets removed. It's like a growth.
dude, yeah, it's stupid. Fucking
You don't want to do that with older dogs. You know, you don't want to fuck with anesthesia with dogs that are over a certain age. It's not worth it.
Exactly. He just got anesthesia last year and the year before. Every time he has to go to the vet, he has to get anesthesia, and it's starting to get to the point where, I mean, at this point, I mean, if he's comfortable, he's not really going too crazy with it. Now the problem is the reason that he's been under so much anesthesia is most of the time just because fucking nails clipped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get, you know, normal shots and everything. So he's not as active as he used to be, and so his nails aren't just breaking off naturally like they would.
Right.
So he's got some heavy nails, and one's kind of hooked. So we got to try to figure. I think I got to catch him while he's asleep and get that nail clipped. But it keeps getting caught on stuff.
Yeah.
So he's got that going.
Because
on.
otherwise, what it'll do is it'll like split down the middle, and then it'll like break all the way back up to the shaft of the nail. The quick, yeah.
Starting to like hook under into his, you know, it's gonna like go into his toe. So like,
Figure it
yeah,
out.
we got to cut it.
Or
you gotta
you
give
give him some like sleepy medicine and do it.
We have been giving him a little bit like speaking of microdosing, we took like 1 gram of RSO. We took like 1 gram of crude RSO, and then we stretched it and diluted it into MCT oil and got it down to like 100 milligrams in a dropper bottle. So we figure about, you know, a rough estimate math, right? About 100 milligrams in a dropper bottle. So we're figuring each dropper is about 30 milligrams, give or take. And so we're giving him like 10 drops out of the dropper, you know, giving him just a couple of milligrams at a time. Each dropper we're figuring is what, like 3 milligrams in the dropper, and we're only giving him like 10 drops. We're giving him like a quarter of the dropper. So we're giving him like maybe a milligram, something like that, of THC. If our math is anywhere close, and if our math is off, at most 2 milligrams, you know, because it's not that potent.
Yeah, just enough for him to tolerate, but get some of the healing.
And we give
medicine.
the CBD oil also on top of that. So I started just kind of dosing him with a little bit of both now, and he's been all right. He's not
Would
whining.
it be effective or safe to say bring in like some coconut oil to try and get towards there to pull, maybe if it's an infection to pull it out?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe I was almost thinking about like giving him some reishi and trying to like kick his immune system up a little bit. And
You guys still fucking with that stuff?
yeah. I
How
was
long-
getting a little
do you
bit
have a dosage?
Yeah, I
Or a
started
frequency,
I've been
like-
lowering my dosage because like the dosages were like a little bit too much. They were like I've been
Are
battling
you
this,
feeling
like-
things?
Yeah, I was kind of feeling it, and so like it was just a little bit much. Like, and I don't know if it was just the reishi or the combo of the reishi and the lion's mane, but I definitely the reishi. The reishi's got it with it, as small as
What do you mean? What do you have as far as what you would consider symptoms from too much?
just like an elevated kind of like anxiety, state of awareness type of a thing. Like I don't know if it's me feeling
Closing in on a panic, but not quite.
Yeah, but we were also only smoking GMO for like a week, and I'm curious if it had to do with the strain
Modulator.
Right. It also I was
Because for you, GMO you said was speedy for you in the first place.
yes, high THC, yeah, just the profile of it, taking it long, dude. It's just that long flower. It just gets speedy, man. Yeah, for me it is. It's got that funk, and it's skunky and speedy. It's at least that cut that I got. It's the cut. I don't know if it's a different cut, but however,
There's only one cut. GMO is like GG4.
and I wouldn't say speedy is the right word, but it definitely can smoke it during my daytime. You know what I mean? It's definitely more of like I can smoke it at night too, but you know, if the word hybrid was something to like use, that's what it would be. But Osley Augustus Stanley, man, we really
We came back around, man.
long ass time, dude. Anyway, we got stuck on my eye for some reason. Yeah, last week we were talking about Owsley Stanley because of his birthday. He was talking
Next
about
time if you follow.
Fucking A,
Do you
dude.
like that joint?
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Um,
Don't bogart that joint, bro.
I want to dab, but I'm out for the rest of the day.
yeah, the last dabs we had from the invasive trimmer, and now all we have from the invasive trimmer is this lighter.
Ooh, that is slick
Ugh.
face. I like it.
Shout out to the invasive trimmer. We traded some
As
A
well.
little bit of horse swapping. Yeah, man.
swap for that guy. Yeah, he'll like
What did you have from him, Becca? What strain?
Rainbow Belts 2.0.
rainbow belt?
What'd you think?
It was pretty good. I liked it a lot. He washed it with 2 Men in a Paddle. They're pretty popular in the
Uh-huh. Yeah.
so it was I thought it was done really nicely.
Oh.
It's yeah. We're seeing for Groli tomorrow though, so
Oh, hell yeah. So what are you gonna get from him? Hopefully some lime skunk.
he doesn't have lime skunk right now.
Yeah, Mr. Clean.
He's got like
Garlic punch.
poison punch and garlic punch, yeah. And then he did Chernobyl with baked. So I think he's blasting that tonight. So maybe we'll get to try some.
Shout out to Fagroli.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
He's mixing it. He's doing some solo just Chernobyl, and then he's mixing it.
So which do you like better? Do you like the garlic punch or the garlic poison? Let's go that way with it.
I love the garlic punch. I really like the flavor.
Look at that. This is some baked pone type fucking focus shit, guys.
I like
I just-
when you get both those sides of it. Like I still get the garlic, even though it's like mostly berry.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Speaking of which, I guess I could just hold off on lighting this joint for a minute. Do a little bit of this garlic punch for you.
The poison punch is better for daytime, I think. It's a little more energy.
Pretty shit though.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Aldridge cracked me up, dude.
What do you think, Becca?
He
Looking
said,
good?
like that joint,
Yeah,
herpy eye. Oh, that looks good.
That some sauce.
Oh man.
It was. It's starting to harden up a little bit now.
Gosh dang it, dude.
Gosh dang it. Speaking of gosh dang Yeti.
Augustus.
I think I've dabbed
Owsley
in like a
Stanley.
year.
Yes. Cheers, Stormblast. Cheers, John Boy. Cheers, everybody else that's joined us.
Yes,
Hopefully everybody's having a mellow night tonight. We're just kind of hanging out, talking about, well, what are we talking about? We're talking about fucking skies and
Owsley Stanley.
coffin and oh, we're back to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying. Well, I've been trying to talk about it. You guys won't let me talk about it. You keep diverting.
Oh, just us. Okay.
All
Go
right.
for it.
All right. Well, first off, the man was born in 1935. Okay. And second off, he was the sound engineer for the Grateful Dead. He was one of the guys who was involved in all of the crazy, what would you say, acid parties. The what was it called? The acid
Electric Kool-Aid test.
electric Kool-Aid test.
The test, yeah.
Yeah, and he was had that thought, this stuff's great and all, but he thought that it could be better than what was kind of going around, and I think he ended up getting handed a vial of Sandoz or something like that, and
Which was the original producer of it.
Delicid was what it was called, from what was that, Sandoz Laboratories in Switzerland, Basel, Switzerland, and he wanted to mimic it, and he didn't really know chemistry, but he was a smart dude and he had a lot of ambition, and he figured out the chemistry for it, figured out how to make it cleanly, and he made it as clean as he possibly could, which he felt was the best and the cleanest ever, and which objectively many others thought so as well. And in the first time that he made it, he said that, you can't make a little bit, and his first batch was something like 15 grams of LSD, which was, well, I think 1 gram of LSD is like 30,000 doses. It's like 30,000
Holy shit.
crap ton of doses. He made 15 grams. And at the time he was making, he said he was trying to mimic the Albert Hoffman dose. So they were making 250, 300 milligram doses,
which is huge.
And, you know, depending on the way that they were laid, some may be 500 milligrams, some might be 200 milligrams, you know, so.
And these days, most people will say that they're buying 100s or 150s, but they're probably not. They may be south of that.
30
considerably.
for the average. Yeah. The average is like 30 to 50. It gets so watered down. Somebody gets a vial of, you know, a pure crystal, and it gets watered down from there, and then gets watered down from there. And then somebody puts it on some blotter paper, you know, and it a third of the original dosage of crystal, and they tell you it is what it used to be, and it's not. And, you know, that's what people end up getting used to. And then they get, you know, a properly dosed bag, vial or page, and then they don't.
Maybe come back, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, with that, like something properly dosed, you know, a quarter of a hit is plenty. You know, do like somebody to, you know, half a hit is plenty for somebody just to like have a, you know, a walk in the park or something like that. 2 doses could be way overwhelming for somebody that is oftentimes told, you know, the average, you know, if you want to see visuals or something, they tell them to take 2 doses. But a lot of times that's, you know, in my opinion, because there's so much low grade, low potency products going around, if not fake products, you know. LSA is a popular one, which comes mainly from morning glories, but a lot of these analogs of LSD end up getting legal, you know, 1P LSD. There's a handful of these things that are actually illegal. I don't quote me on that, but there's a couple of these analogs which are, you know, different hydrogen atom, carbon atom, moved around, taken probably from the original source. The problem is some of these you have to like make LSD first, and then you like change it, the structure, so you can kind of still be in deep shit waters for manufacturing shit, you know. And that's definitely not, in this channel we're not condoning manufacturing or sales or any of that shit. We're merely talking about safety and culture and history and things like that. And in this history, those were the types of doses they were working with, pretty heavy. So he was a sound engineer for the Grateful Dead, and he not only had a passion for perfection in chemistry, but he had a passion for perfection in the arts and sound. And he was an audiophile, and
The wall of sound.
And so he used a lot of his acid money. You know, at the time he had he gave away half of the LSD that he manufactured, but that doesn't mean that he gave it all away. He also, you know, used a lot of his money to basically fund the Grateful Dead and help fund his own passions and audiophile hobbies. So he had some of the best audio equipment. Ended up taking that in making these PAs on stage to what he believed was the true dimension of the sound. And he had bought all this great equipment for him, and he like was like, he was known for just during practice and during like pre-show to just be wandering the stadium, checking sound all over the entire stadium, trying to see what the different levels are doing, what the different instruments are doing in different areas. And and like a madman, he would go through and just say, no, none of this awesome equipment is any good. This just doesn't work. And so he designed the perfect number of speakers. Basically, he took like the average size of a stadium, you know, and then he figured, well, the size of a sound wave needed to get from one side of the stadium to the other side of the stadium without shrinking needs to be this big. So he figured out the size of the sound wave that it needed to be, and then he replicated the speaker stack to get to that size. And then he added dual microphones and basically created stereo sound. He created stereo out of just adding different panning to the stage effects. He would put the drum speakers over in one section. The keyboard would specifically be the size of a specific like tenor wave or something like that, like the in tone of like E or something. Like it was super scientific, and he designed all these speakers and put it all together and created like one of the largest and most dynamic sound systems ever known, and it was called the Wall of Sound. And this Wall of Sound toured the world, man. They took hundreds of speakers and tweeters and big giant wooden cases overseas and did their Europe 72 tour, 73 with the,
They just auctioned those off, the last bits of that tour and shit, right?
so
Like Sotheby's and stuff. They had some of the original speakers from the Wall of Sound and shit. I don't know what they ended up going for. It was probably about a year ago.
they say 80% of that is in like New York Harbor. Up on the fucking landfill, dude. Like 80% of that fucking thing ended up in the fucking bay. To trash. But yeah, dude, I would love to have a fucking cabinet off of that.
How else do you see that question for you?
So fucking cool.
As far as effects, they were pleasant. It wasn't like no Genius Envy level, but growing wise, they grew really, really small mushrooms.
Nice
Like,
visual, really long fucking stems and really small caps. They're really like delicate looking mushrooms.
it's a good one to grow if you're looking into it.
Huh.
Just don't expect.
Oh shit,
someone else
Stormblessed
to
has got a
use-
syringe of it. Wanted to try it. Hell yeah. Shout out Stormblessed.
Fantasia. I always like those ones too. Those are pretty smooth, like body wise. Nice on the body. The so we have one right here, the little bears. See behind us. I don't know if they're on. They're usually on the Christmas lights back here, little dancing bears. I'm sorry, marching bears. The Osley
Is the one that created that.
he is Bear, and everybody knows him as Bear. He's Osley Bear Stanley, or just Bear. And so what it was he got this design idea, and he had dude, I can't think of the artist name. Thomas. Could be wrong on that, but it was in the late 60s, early 70s. He got they did the no, it was the early 70s, just after Pigpen had died. Pigpen had passed, and they had did a dedicated tribute to Pigpen. It was like Grateful Dead Live or something like that. I'm not sure. It was one of their first some album that they produced. And anyway, he had found an artist to do the first Steely and the first Bear. And so here, since you can't really see any of them behind us, what was ended up being known as this little guy, and groups of these little guys marching their little way in different formations and colors.
And they've always been called the Dancing Bears. Like everybody knows.
They're
Right.
marching. They're marching with drums and stuff. And so around the back of the album, that all the marching bears were in a circle. And the front of the album was a Steely. And originally, Bear wanted the Steely to say the Grateful Dead. And so like the artist was like, I can't get it to say the Grateful Dead, but here's what I got. And Ozzy said he had a vision of a lightning bolt, right? And he wanted a lightning bolt. And so he wanted the lightning bolt with the Grateful Dead around it, and he wanted 13 points. So they got the 13-point lightning bolt, and then the Grateful Dead Steely, and then Lust came the Steal Your Face symbol. And then so it was like in the early 1960s, Bear was the one who commissioned for Steal Your Face, and the bear, the iconic, all of the imagery that comes on after that, Althea, Bertha, and all of the cartoon figures can all almost be thanked to Bear and his work with the artists. Very cool stuff. And yeah, and the marching bears come along. Super cool, man. And his LSD has made it, and his recipes have turned on millions of people thus since the 60s, and have gone through the first little liquid vial that I had ever gotten actually had a little bear paw sticker on it, and it was through some deadheads, and I'm very curious about that vial.
Family stuff.
Yeah, the family stuff, man. And I'm very thankful for Bear and his contributions to the medicine and everything.
Scene, man.
Yeah, dude. And so he had a little birthday last week. Now Bear lived to like, I think he also was like 100 years old, man. And it was, at least in his late 90s.
When did he die?
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I probably have it right here. right in front of me. 2011. Oh, huh, I was way off, dude. He was 76 years old. I'm sorry. That was off by like 20 years. But he was born in 1935 and passed in 2011.
Augustus.
I must have been thinking of Albert Hoffman. Albert Hoffman lived to be into like 103 or something like that. But yeah, that was Owsley Augustus Stanley, and a lot of stuff. I really want to find there's Starfinder Stanley. Artist,
This kid, right?
He named his kid Starfinder.
I think he named his kid Starfinder. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. The dude was a
My
collector.
child's name is Dark Star.
Let's see
Kinda
here.
like it.
Rock band
Yes,
Grateful
for
Dead, called the Acid King by the media. Stanley produced at least 500 grams of LSD. So that's known. So one of my favorite stories is the 50-gallon drums of LSD on stage. And they're just handing out cupfuls to the crowd. Insanity, dude. That's insanity.
And our parents say they had it so rough.
Gone.
I've seen the footage is
God.
crazy. The footage is crazy. There's a trash can on stage, and Bear is just pouring in, and you just see this cloud of crystal, dude. It's insane. Like they had to have like just gotten like puffed in the face, like like just white crystal all over their fucking face after pouring.
They're
That
still tripping in the bay today.
Oh my god, dude!
He was Mr. 10 strip at fucking Pine
Yeah.
Knob.
Oh, dude, he was
last year.
Mr. 50 strip, is what they were, dude. That's an insane dose. They like probably poured a kilo in that thing and just went to town handing out cups. I don't know what show that was. Some people say that that was a psyop because of all of that. Like it was part of MK Ultra. Some people are unsure about all of that.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Interesting stuff with that one. But
This show has gone all over the place. Where are we going next? Where's the bus going to go?
Dude, if we're
This
on
great space
conspiracy
coaster of a
theories.
fucking
No,
Polarity.
there was a Grateful Dead show that there's a whole group of Deadheads that remember the show, but the Grateful Dead doesn't remember playing it. They say that they were off that weekend. They were all doing other shit. Everybody else has an account of being somewhere else, and there's like thousands of people that recall being at
So it's
that
imposter Jerry, or is this
Yeah.
mandala fucking shit Jerry, or is this like
there's
alternate universe?
theories that everybody got dosed and there were cardboard cutouts on stage.
Or are there like like they have body doubles for people? Were there like 5 Jerry Garcias?
Yeah. The hologram.
9-fingered Jerry Garcias. That's really dedication to the craft, to give up a digit or partially give up a digit just to go through with this elaborate ruse that we got going on.
Yikes, man.
It's the stories that they have about playing while they're all like have had so much LSD, and they're all like
Yeah.
communicating but not, and they just know what's happening. That's nuts. That's nutty.
When I first had some of Robert's paper, I think I did 3, and I had my AirPods in and I fucking played nothing but music. I just reclined the chair in the darkness, man, just fucking hardcore jammed. And that is one of my favorite things to be able to use LSD for, is for music appreciation and immersion. Like you can, obviously you can see whatever the fuck you want to see when you're on it. But for me, it was like seeing this huge crowd, because I'm always thinking of like Pine Knob style shit, the amphitheater for anybody that doesn't know. So seeing like a washout of this crowd, and there's like the moon above and shit. And just, you can see like the music notes just fucking floating out into the sky, man. It's cool shit.
What is this light up sign next to you? I don't remember that.
It's a new addition.
Got a new
A little
sign.
bit Bobby Brown.
I love it. Every time I notice there's
Yeah,
always
there's something different. No, this is let me see if I can fuck with this. I can make it all kinds of colors. Like that's cool green, but I don't know if that washes out too much.
Sweet.
Make it blue, whatever.
Yeah, dude, that's badass. What is it?
Just trying to.
Is it neon? Is it LED neon?
It is. There you go. I can make
Fiber
it.
optic?
Yeah.
It's
Ooh, I
just
like
like the
the
little
thing.
LED shit. You know what I mean?
Is it like etched and then fiber optic type deal?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a hanging plate thing. It's like clear plastic. And then the light bar is in this up top. And then it just pushes the light down the way that it's burned in there. But it's cool. It's an MBGS and a Skilbo logo. So
Oh, yeah, dude.
I just kept it on red because it looked like it was easier to see that way.
I like that you guys are stepping up your backgrounds there. Even Red and Becca with that awesome collection.
Oh,
going.
I can't compete with that, dude. I
I'm
can just have my
eyeballing
little
Monstera
baubles and
there.
stupid shit, but I can't.
We got lots of house plants and
We've been doing a bunch of
gotta find
moving.
room for them somewhere.
We've had the 2 grow rooms that I've had here at the house have been kind of broken down, and a lot of that stuff's been taken out to the farm to get, just kind of used out there where we
Sure.
have, the space to grow shit out there and this place to live. So trying to like have a little section where we can work. So right now, like we painted this room. I
It looks good, man.
had to patch so many fucking holes, dude. There's so much wall work to do. I destroyed my window, like sealing it off, and like the window frame around it, I had to patch up, and it needs a new window, but we'll deal with that. Yeah, thank you, man. It was a lot of work. There's still a couple.
It's got the big. What do they call those in a boat when you look out the little window in your?
Porthole.
Yeah. Does it still have the porthole or
Yeah,
the
I
portal
haven't
into
fixed
the
those
other
yet.
universe?
We have
Just
to
put
do-
some little windows.
Yeah, Becca wants little windows in the room. I'm like, I don't know.
That'd be sweet.
One of them is gonna be a plant room. Like, so for all these house plants, we're gonna have like a different place for most of them.
Be a cool environment to just go chill in, right?
Yeah. And then and seeds and propagating and all these different things. And then the other room will be like a bedroom and a work room. So why can't that room have a little porthole,
Yeah, we got the Ito in there right now, and that's where we do a lot of our processing now that it's cleaned up. And
Do you have that on like a table or something? Because that's a big ass unit.
yeah, it's on a table. We have 2 tables where I'm running it because I need a table for like doing all of my
The capture.
capture and reclaim and
Mm.
filtering, and then I do all the filtering, and then
You have to have a place to set up the syringes to draw from and all that other shit. There's a lot of stuff involved.
I've made the mistake now of letting the reclaim, like the alcohol reclaim jar. I've let that like overflow a couple times, and it backs into the unit, and the unit doesn't like that, and
Oh, dude.
it takes you have to like turn it on and turn it off like 6 times and let it run.
Tripping. Yeah, man.
Well, to like drain it, because every time it turns on and turns off, it drains a little bit of alcohol out of it, like little internal pump kicks on. So like you just have to like fuck with it, man. I'm starting to learn the tricks, but the big trick is monitor it and don't let your reclaim overflow.
Let's
The
do
big
that.
one. But dude, yeah, the unit's been working really good, and we got some better equipment. We've been doing the thing where we're mixing our RSO with MCT oil, so we're able to take a really long way, and do a lot of good stuff for giveaways, like be able to like give a lot away to more people.
Well, it's better to take it with the MCT oil, right? Makes it a lot more effective.
Yeah, I mean, I think
You would think so. Yeah.
put it right in, you're cooking some fucking stir fry or something, dude. You just put a little bit right in there and keep shaking your stir fry, dude. You know what I mean? You can get right there,
So that it
medicated
doesn't
dinner.
get too hot.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, I think that it's a great way to do it. We can really stretch out a little bit, make it go a really long way. And
That's it for me. I don't really want to get fucking blown out on it. Like I truly want to use do I have a fucking thing of RSO here? I don't think I do anymore. I think I used the last of it. Anyway, my syringes are the regular oil. Red, do you guys have one that you can hold up right there in your prop garden?
here's a full
Can you show me the little bubble? Yeah. Okay, there's my regular one, right?
and then the bigger one here.
Big boy.
Usually this would
Yeah.
hold about 6 grams if I fill it up all the way back. This is the one I'm currently dosing out of. And then what'll end up happening is what's nice.
Pass
Lazy.
that tobacco. Pass that joint.
I don't know if she wants
I
it.
got you. I got you back.
I don't know if she wants that. Who knows? So what I'll do is I'll depress. I've been able to get it out without having to fill it up too much.
Right.
And
Mine
right
looks
about
much messier.
right about there is about rice.
Okay.
About rice. And that's probably not what I would dose somebody
It
who's
takes
fresh.
skill to get
This is
that
about what
right
I
dose.
dose about
Totally
this.
abolished. Totally.
And with my tolerance, I really don't feel this. Okay. And I'd probably go about like that. Just a little bit further.
Well,
Take-
what is your level then?
Here,
What do
check
you
this
think
out.
that you're consuming as
At
far as
that, look at how hard and rigid that is. I could just swallow that. That's a pill,
Yeah.
dude. That's a pill in itself, you know?
Can
if it
I-
doesn't get stuck to your teeth? Ooh.
Huh?
If it doesn't get stuck to your teeth, don't fall down that hole. Oof.
I've got
No,
little-
nothing. I
little
just swallowed that sucker.
half
There's nothing there.
capsules.
There we go.
RSO is so relaxing. I love the body feel. It's a good body feel.
What is your kick-in time, Becca? If you were to take your dosage, how long before you feel it kick in?
When I take like this a little bit, it probably take an hour. And
Okay.
I don't take a crazy amount. So, and my tolerance is higher with it also. So it doesn't knock me down. Like it's just a very nice, like I smoked a couple joints or had a dab type of feeling.
Guess who gets dabs tomorrow?
Dabs?
I only had
Oh
one.
yeah,
today.
dabs are great. Let's see here. Cheers in
Cheers,
chat.
chat.
Organically blunt saw an accident, so good vibes to whoever is there. Hopefully it's nothing bad.
I actually got something I wanted to throw at you guys because I'm been wondering on it. Now I've been mixing my old cakes into my actual like cannabis grow, my frugal
Sure.
beds.
You're getting your fungal
And-
bloom out of that.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll have a mushroom or two pop up, but I never try to dry those out or anything like that and eat them
Why?
because I'm not sure. Is that completely safe with that highly organic environment? Is there going to be
Why
things
wouldn't
that
it be?
would get on those mushrooms that wouldn't get in an amount of? That's why I'm throwing it out to you guys. You think it's safe?
I mean, I would think it would be, but I'm no scientist. I'm just a doctor, damn it. That's an old Star Trek joke for somebody.
I mean, only
Um,
you would know what's in your soil.
Damn
and
it, abolished.
If you're,
Doctor, not a scientist.
do you feel comfortable eating the cannabis?
That's what my
Yeah.
thought was too. Is would I make edibles out of the cannabis? Yeah. Well, then fuck it.
And you're sure that there's psilocybin?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because sometimes you get just random combinations.
Because it's the cakes are basically becoming my new like humic layer because they're just going right on top. It's not like I'm mixing them deep down into the pot. They're staying basically intact, so they're growing out of those cakes mostly.
Yeah. I would. Because you're going to dehydrate them anyway. You know what I mean? You're not eating them fresh out of the soil if you were even semi-concerned about that.
Well, that's good because the one it doesn't. You don't get the no huge bloom. You get one, two.
It's a couple. I mean, hey, you
but
know
they're
what?
Very
Though?
big and hardy, and they just have this like I don't know like this.
And you're grabbing them before the veil rips.
If I can, but yeah, I would want to because I don't
Because
want
they
these
come up
flowers-
quick. You got to really be on that shit, man.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
you have
checking
to
every
get them
couple days. now that
behind
I'm
the
out.
veil.
You're so au contraire.
Ha 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 ha.
Definitely ate the ones that I grew outside, so I shouldn't be worried about these.
Did you have these? What'd you do? Put them under a pine tree?
It was right at my like front door of my apartment. There was a
Right off the
pumpkin
stoop?
plant that grew there, and it made like that perfect micro environment. And then I was consistently dumping the cakes right there, and they would just pop up in mass amounts.
Oh, look.
Skilbo's dying over there. That was good.
Good
Fucking
time.
great, man. I started laughing at that.
Families on the road, man. The road's the scariest place, dude. Road's
Do you
the
guys
scariest place.
stay safe in the snow, or do you have to drive anywhere?
No, yeah. I'm an old pro at that shit.
I stayed in and just shoveled for all day. Like every 15 minutes, you go back out there. It didn't look like you shoveled.
Okay, how much snow did you guys get?
I don't
Probably
know.
like 8 inches.
Yeah.
is what I'd say. It's like really thick. The chickens, not interested.
Well, no, it's horrible for them because you almost have to go out there with a shovel, like a snow shovel, and like skim that down to something they can trample.
They'll only go out
Rake
of the
it.
coop right now in the run if I like move
Tamp
the
the ground
snow.
down. Yeah.
They don't even want to walk on any type of white. Like I have to like move with my feet.
They want that dirt. Yeah.
Breaks and stuff just to like give them a little walking path, but they're not gonna do much, out there. So they've been okay staying inside.
Oh shit. DP is growing fucking sour melon.
Yeah, he's been keeping me updated on that. How
Wow.
many days are you going for, DP? Because remember, the if you're trying to go for the taste that I get off mine, it's I say it over and over. You got to take it at least at 75 or just before that, because once you let it get into the 80s and 90s, when it really finishes off, it starts to pick up a little bit of a spice. Still good, and the effects are a lot stronger, but that taste and smell that I really love in the sour melon, you have to take it a little bit early.
Yeah. Look at the difference when I did the ABOG, because mine was like, you're like, oh, yours has got a spice to it. Yeah.
Yeah. It had good effects though. I mean, that's the trade-off there.
Oh, dude, it was like a horse hoof to the head, man.
But a
And
lot of
believe it or
people-
not, I still have some fucking ABOG. I still do.
You grew a big ass plan of it, man.
That thing was a fucking hoss, man. Jesus Christ. I think I did it. I think I grew it 3 times in a row. And I think the first time I got like 5 or 6 ounces off of it. The second time I got 8. And I think the third time I got like 10 ounces off it. And the thing is because it had so many huge, just the whole plant from like the halfway point up was just nothing but solid fucking just nugs, man. But I really got in there and de-leafed it, I really pushed it, but yeah. So now that is 24 months old and fucking it was narcotic before. Now it's just like I really should fucking do something with that.
That'd be interesting to see the test results on it after a 24-month cure.
What it is now, yeah, I don't know.
Because fresh, it tested 25% THC, and then it had a nice array of terps. It was orange hops and cinnamon mix for their flavor profile.
Yeah, mine was the orange spice. I didn't get the hoppiness out of it. It was like
I've seen results that say that you'll get like a full conversion to CBN after like 4 years.
okay. So then you would have 25% CBN ostensibly or lost. Let's say even 20%. Let's say 5% just
you would probably
goes.
experience some loss. You're also going to experience some loss as well.
That's some knockout drops right there. You put that just a little teeny bowl, man. That's all you need is a couple of good rips of that. And it's
Even if
how
it was
I lay me down to sleep kind of
half
shit.
the potency with a full CBN conversion. Because what ends up happening is after it converts, it does degrade. It degrades during the whole time.
Yeah, it's always decreasing.
It's oxidizing. It's converting. And
Okay, so let's just half it. Let's say 12% CBN.
yeah, dude, fuck, man. Oh, fuck it.
Night. You're sleeping good.
Hash for that shit, dude. I see, and the way I almost look at older material though is like, do you
Your
want,
hash, Red.
you want
Your
to smoke
hash
older
is the one that gets me.
biomass? Like I'm cool with the older resin, but the older biomass, like that's where I start to think like, is that flavors? So like maybe like take that older material and just like make some sift out of it, crush it up, do like the Afghan hash deal where you make a powder out of it and then sift it, you know what I mean? And then like get some of like the leave some of the dust and stuff out of it.
I fell down the hash rabbit hole yesterday and I was watching videos of people that were using just a straight press, like a 10-ton press, and then making the hash bricks out of them and stuff. No heat whatsoever.
No heat.
No heat. And then I seen another dude that was using the plates and he had his set at, it was like fluctuating between like 100 and 105. So I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about getting a form, right?
It's just and
And then heating up the plates and giving it a good You
The
know,
one dude was he had all of this, the fucking sift was already in a bag sealed, and then, put it in the press and then put the 10-ton press on it, bam. And at the end of it, it just like soaked all to it. And then he put his like stamp in the top of it.
yeah, yeah.
And then the other dude was using like
to the bag, yeah,
like the same press plates, but what he was doing was he was just putting a piece of parchment in the bottom of it and then tamped as much fucking keef as he could into it. And then he put a small piece of parchment on top of it. And then he put the top on the stamp itself and then pressed. He was the dude that was doing it 100, 105 or something.
105 degrees.
Whatever, yeah. I had to turn it off because it was like one of those annoying fucking people. You're just like, oh my God, dude, I fucking can't finish it, man.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Not really doing it. It's like a 15-minute video on something that needed to be like a third of that.
Yeah. I've gotten down that rabbit hole a couple times because well, just the good old fashioned like hand pressing keef, or like I used to like put some keef in a sandwich baggie, and then I go take it over to the hot water in the sink and I'd run it under the hot water because that was some tip that I got on Reddit or 420 mag forum or some shit like that. And just hold the fucking keef under the hot water for a minute, in some hot water, and then hold it and press it and then pull it out and you got a little hash brick, and you go take that, spark it on fire, so
the original way that we did it was to use parchment and then fucking keef, and then you would tape that shut, and then you would take, like my one dude that did it, he would take like a piece of newspaper and wrap it around it and wet it down. And then he would take his iron, like a regular fucking clothes iron, and then just iron the fuck out of it and keep flipping it over and flipping it over.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then he was the very first person. He used to actually use the dry ice method. Where you would put it in a bag with the dry ice, you just shake the fuck out of it over top of like the glass, the huge glass table, would like clean it all down and scrape
Fun
it
as hell, but I did not like the end results on dry ice ash.
No, the problem is people get carried away with it. This is one thing that he learned, was that most people will try to go for yield. So they'll shake it too much. And it's like, no, your first shake should be like, he was like 30 seconds at last, 10 seconds, whatever. Just if it's before it starts to change colors, if it's, blondish or whatever, don't keep shaking it until it greens out.
So, I used to make some dry sift.
That was him and his tag.
Not used to. I mean, this was very recent. I just actually this lid right here. Let's take a look at this lid. The lid is all busted up, man. You can see this thing looks like a.
Oh yeah, it's the 5-gallon bucket lid, man.
Went to town on that fucking thing, dude.
Hey, Red made the best fucking knockout hash that I've had was the that 2018 fucking shit you had, man. It's crazy.
Put the well, no, this is dry sift. This was around a dry sift. I'm not sure when, but this was bubble bags and just drumsticks. There we go. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, man.
Do you not do straight bubble runs anymore? Because I liked your bubble.
We just have.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about bubble hash. I'm talking about dry sift with bubble.
He's talking about using the bags and then using the drumming method to basically knock the tracks out.
That's another cool way to make hash. I'd love to have a setup like that.
It's like putting the bubble bags in there and then putting some material in there and then just giving the old
There's some really good videos of people doing that. I think that's like Moroccan hash.
Yeah, you gotta get the big old Moroccan like drum to do it.
Yeah, 2021 October Clio, when we did that Clio 2021. That was the last time I did any bubble hash. Any water hash.
Yeah, man. You have had so many good dry sift jars, man. So many good ones. You still have some flow. Do you remember those fucking hash balls of flow? The little fucking
I think I might have some up here next to me.
dude. I am holding on to those because I'm still want to get one of those crazy ass. Can you hold it up and show it off and sport it one time? The hash dome.
Oh yeah.
You know, they were saying in chat that I got everything. No, I don't have everything. I don't have that. That's
They're
crazy.
so greasy. I bet those 5-year-old fucking little hash browns.
Yeah. They still give them a little shake, man.
Valuable.
We have triceps over here.
That star was nice.
All right now. I'll make one for you though. if you want.
I think I still have a little bit of the grape jelly, strawberries and cream.
Recipe we have for that is GMO, and that'll be like,
Oof. How did that sift for you? Really easy, right?
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Those dumps.
Yeah. Every time I trimmed, I just did it over like a sifter.
Yeah.
There's the allergies up quite a bit too.
DP says you can't smoke hash all day if you don't start in the morning.
You got the truth.
You know, I have to be honest with you. I don't remember the last time I started the morning with hash, if I ever have. But I was watching this lady, man. I don't remember what it was. She was doing the hash blunts where you start with the dry sift and then you do the tech where you roll it out with the, like the wine bottle hot water. And you're basically making the blunt wrap out of that. Then you grind the herb up on there, sprinkle it on it, roll that shit up, and just pinch it off, man. Like, it's been a minute since I had one of those.
It's beautiful. DP, we took the GMO. We take about 80 days.
77 is standard, but if you can go longer, man.
Yeah.
She gets stinky.
Yeah, it's Jesus Christ.
Well, she starts to foxtails.
Loud, pretty foxtails.
Crazy ones.
I'm unable to attend Hareem. We have a bunch of citric, and it's only so it's just a solvent, man. That whole thing's solvent. I think I use that citric to clean my scissors, dude. I break up that citric, and literally my scissors that were all sticky and nasty from
Just
all
kind of trim through it old school way.
Yeah, well, yeah, the grinder's fucked right now. It's just an old grinder, and the ring's it's just fucked. So like this, I've been back to scissors for like the last couple months, and when I get into the citric and I chop up some citric, it cleans my scissors off. You know what
The
I mean?
limonene, man.
Yeah, it's a solvent, dude. So I don't know if I can take that weed to a solvent.
I liked everything about GMO, the way it grew, the way it looked.
Yields
but
great.
I didn't like the smell. I'm not into that onion soup mix smell. It was the turnoff that maybe get rid of the cut.
Soupy?
Yeah, if you ever cooked or went to the store, got onion soup mix to mix with like some kind of like beef dish or something like that.
Yeah.
It reminds me exactly what GMO smells like.
Yes, I don't get as garlicky. Yeah, it's definitely got the garlicky. What is it that garlic has? That's the flavonoid of garlic. Shit. Just learned this recently. It's not a sulfur compound. It's something totally different. Hold on. Skilbo. What is your favorite strain right now?
He's also looking it up.
Organosulfur compounds, garlic flavonoids. Yeah, it says, oh Jesus, I don't even want to try to read that shit.
It doesn't remind me of garlic though. I love garlic. I like put spoonfuls of raw garlic on like everything.
It's like
I've had like garlic terps in cannabis, and that just doesn't remind me of it from garlic.
It says
Yeah.
allicinin.
Yeah, allthiosulfonates, flavonoids, vitamins, phenolic acids,
Phenolic
and
acid.
the organosulfur compounds.
I think the phenolic acid, and this one is allicin, is released upon disruption, producing a potent aroma when garlic is cut or cooked. and is among the chemicals responsible for both the smell and flavor. I'm curious if that's a similar compound in cannabis, Allison compound.
I don't know, man, but I really would love to. At this point, it's not that cannabis needs to change, it's that the tools that we use to measure it need to change. And I would love to be able to see an even deeper dive on what's actually in these plants. What are the terpenes? How are they modulating the high? How are they working in their entourage effect?
Yeah, man.
Their ensemble effect, whatever you want to call it. And because right now, it's not that it's not in your plant potentially, because it probably is. It's that it's at the, is it NDA? Isn't that what it is? NA, whatever, not.
The things you got to sign. Cannabis Coalition.
What is it? Is it it's not, it can't be detected in the test. What do they say on the paperwork, Brad?
Oh, yeah. ND, non-detectable.
ND. There you go. Non-detectable. It doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that the tool that we're using to look at it has its cutoff points. There could be some in there.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, they're not detecting sulfur compounds. They're not detecting for allium, right? Are they? That's not a terpene. It's a different type of a flavonoid. It's not it's not on that spectrum. Unless they are testing for allium, that is on the sheet, but I don't think I've seen that one.
I don't think we can get that good of a test yet, getting esters or anything like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And
then it's like the transport, you know what I mean? And then there's what dies in the jar, what dies in the line, what we fuck up because we don't have the 60-60 environment dialed in perfectly. You know what I mean?
That's why I don't want
to shit stranded, man.
That's why I don't want to just wash out my trichome heads, because the trichome head might not be the only thing giving us the goodies. You know what I mean? Something else in that plant. And I think dry stiff's got a much more of a well, I mean, realistically, I mean, lime's a solvent, limonine's a solvent, using this shit. I mean, you can't even walk.
Whereas like garlic is extremely fucking sticky. GG4 is extremely fucking sticky.
You can't even find these flavors in hash because it doesn't hash. You know what I mean? You need a ton of material to get a tiny amount. If you're going to get any at all, you need to strip it of a different kind of solvent because it is a solvent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's some stuff that, like, I don't know, you won't find somewhere with not in like flower compound itself or
that kind of reinforces my belief on the whole silver bullet approach to cannabis, and how, as a medical patient, consistency is really, really important, because I need to be able to consistently treat what the fuck is wrong with me. I don't want to keep popping beans and hoping that, we have some super quote unquote stable genetics. I don't even know what that means anymore. But something that if I pop the pack, it's going to have these properties. It's going to at least contain these medicinal pieces that I need to fix me. That's where, there are so many different variations on how these plants can express themselves. It could come to a point where it's like, you know what? I can grow sour melon, and I have grown sour melon, and I stopped growing sour melon and told myself I'll just buy it from Abolish because he does it so much better than I do. That it's not worth me changing up my entire fucking approach to what the fuck I do when I can just as easily help support a friend who is doing it the way that I want it done anyway. You know what I mean? So there's the free trade commerce. There's the sharing of genetics. If, hey, I got a patient that this worked really well for her migraines. Well, dude, cut me in on that. I really, migraines 2-3 days a week. Yeah. So it's to be able to use cannabis as our silver bullet and these terpenes to know as a patient what you even need to go after. Like, what is it in these 5 things that I've smoked that all did the trick? Well, if they've all been tested, then we can look at the numbers and we can say, well, they all tend to be high in beta caryophyllene and with a heavy dose of myrcene or whatever it tends to be. You can see as an overlap, right? And you could be like, well, I'll be a monkey's uncle. It looks like I really need to start chasing this down and not worrying about, because all the THC numbers are all over the place between these things. So it wasn't the THC. In trying to extrapolate from data that has to be recorded in order for me to extrapolate it. If it's not there, then it's all just bro science and supposition and going like, yo, I'm Toucan Sam, follow my nose to the weed that works for you.
Yeah, the THC.
Like I can smell it, man.
It's
Like,
so,
I don't know what the fuck do-si-do smells like. I couldn't even tell you, but anything that gets that do-si cross, I can usually smell it in there. And do-si-do consistently has been really medicinal for me. And I've had it from 4 different sources. Not like 4 people that grew it out from the same clone, like 4 completely different things, man. And I don't know.
So I like that we're talking about the testing and stuff like that not being at the level to fully tell us what these strains can do. And it's something that scares the shit out of me. Like I'm scared to start all these new different genetics that are out and stuff like that, because I feel like it's gone so far away from the original strains. And I feel like these original strains have stuff going on in them. It's like a synergistic effect even that we don't fully understand with our science. And I feel like we don't keep these around, we might miss out on some serious medicinal things because
Dude, everybody's still chasing after skunk. And it's been 35, 40 fucking years. People are still chasing after skunk. Why is that?
You know what I'm afraid is going to happen, Skilbo? They're going to find skunk, and then they're going to find out that it just doesn't wash, and then it's just going to get lost again.
Don't say that, man. There's always going to be some diehard that's going to hold shit, especially as it's come to the point now where like you can hold certain genetic in perpetuity indefinitely as long as you don't fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like we've discredited a lot of the whole, well, it'd be genetic drift after so many generations. No, the secret is don't clone a fucking sick mother. That's the secret. Keep mom in good health when you take clones off of it, and you won't see a lot of wild variations over these excessive things. Like Clackamas Coot held that one plant for how many years? About 20 plus, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, people say, well, you can't do that. It won't work. No, I mean, ostensibly you could, and that's where having your personal genetic library backed up somewhere else, even if it's just in another tent, you know.
I've seen drift even in my OG. I've had that for about 10 years now or so, and it's gone through phases where
There's no
it's
cheese
different.
left, you know.
Yeah. Now I believe it's getting back to that. I think it had a sickness or some kind of viral for a few years there, and it's got its way out of it.
We're talking about that HLV, hops latent viroid, and then about 4 or 5 years ago it was tobacco latent viroid,
Mosaic. We were talking about the mosaic virus.
viroid. Yeah, no smoking around your plants, wash your hands after your cigarettes.
Oh, you know what I seen today in an article? It was showing how people that smoke cigarettes for a really long time, you know, they incur lung problems, right?
Like this,
But the belief was always that, you know, well, yeah, but if you smoke cannabis for a really long time, it's going to do damage to your lungs long term. And the study came back and said that that was not, in fact, the case.
yeah.
So there is no, I mean, people will also say, well, I smoked really hard on a Friday night and we did, you know, a whole gram of this or whatever. And boy, it really affected my lungs. Well, yeah, but that's not long-term damage. That's, you know, there's a bit of a difference.
Wrong, but isn't one of the herbal holistic methods to like help an asthma attack a little bit of cannabis because it opens the airways?
I mean, that's what Peter Tosh says, right? Isn't that the classic one?
Yeah. Well,
It's good for asthma.
Yeah.
Legalize It is the song I'm thinking of. I was just like, what the fuck is the name of this song?
Later.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. I think Chinese Pharmacopoeia has it listed a couple thousand years as a bronchodilator. Good for asthma, specifically asthma treatment. It's hemp plant. It's that was, so what did it say? It said for like a 30-year test study, 30 years of smoking cigarettes did X amount of lung damage, but 30 years of smoking cannabis
Yep.
did not. But
Yep.
30 years of combined only showed the same as what the
cigarette
tobacco smoking was.
Right.
Even combined, even somebody like me who would have smoked tobacco and a lot of people smoke tobacco and cannabis. At most, you're just getting the harsh effects from the tobacco.
Right. But see, when I was a kid, the propaganda, you know what they told, well, specifically was that and this is not true, obviously, but this is how bad the shit was in the 80s. They were like, for every joint you smoke, it's the same as smoking 20 cigarettes. And I'm like, what? That doesn't even fucking make sense.
That one? Yeah,
I'm
dude.
like, no, that can't be true.
That has to be total propaganda.
They tried to hoodwink us, bro. They tried to hoodwink us.
Hold on. Let's remember the timing though. Back in those days, it was very common to use things like Eagle 20 and a lot of those like really heavy fucking think if we didn't have any
those death chemicals.
Yeah, think of how many of us would still be using think of how many of us do use those death chemicals on the cannabis still to this day. That should still be used, man. Like, let's not kid ourselves that nobody's using glyphosate in their fucking backyards, because
that was one of the primary drivers for me to get my card and to be able to grow my own plants. It's because I told myself, I'm already fucked up enough as it is. I don't need to become any more fucked up by some crazy pesticides or anything that are used on it.
I don't even trust the stuff that's on the certified list, man. I
look at what's available, you know, like, and don't just look at your state. Look at like what's not used in Europe, what's banned in Europe, what's banned in California. Like, they'll be one of the first people to ban shit, and you should probably follow suit.
Well, you should also think about anything like, so I've been doing a lot of listening to the founders of soil building, you know, Elliot Coleman and, you know, Skilbo, back in the day when I first joined the bro show, and you guys would ask me, we only have 4 minutes, whatever, we go over for a couple minutes.
That's our way. We usually go off at like 12:02.
You would ask me
like TBS
who all of my like teachers were and all of these people, and like I would like a handful, you know, the grow tube and stuff like that for those, but you know, I didn't have a lot of cannabis content teachers, because like I learned from the cannabis, I learned what I needed to know about cannabis to grow the plant, which was the light cycle, you know, grow like tomatoes, and a lot of people just
I gotta change up the nudes, man.
Yeah, this, that, or the other. You know, once I got like the basics down, most of my like how to soil build and shit like that, that all came from like gardeners, tomato gardeners, you know, other people.
Because it's not specific to cannabis, and that's what we had to get away from.
Way more content on how to do like this many parts compost, this many parts peat, this many parts perlite, and that's why all of my gardens and everything are 1 part, one part compost, 1 part peat, splash of perlite, and they all do the same mix. You know, nowadays I just make my own mixes, you know, with different.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to Medically Fit, because he always keeps me in the loop and DMs me all this cool ass fucking soil building shit stuff. So all I have to do is open our DMs, and I can just be like, dude, this is the ultimate fucking playlist.
And I really tried going organic when I started doing it, and I just couldn't understand. I didn't understand the lingo, the microbe talk and the fungus talk. I didn't, what the fuck is
I just kept reading it, dude, until it like made sense to me.
It was a lot easier for me to just apply part A, part B, and just let it rip, you know, when I started doing cannabis. But like, now I'm understanding that, or even organic. So I started following some heavy hitters, the guys that like really started the organic thing. Elliot Coleman, who wrote the, you know, gardening book back in the 80s, and he got his shit taught from the dudes that were doing it in the 40s, and these dudes were doing it in the 30s, and these dudes were like doing it back to predate conventional ag, chemical ag. And that's what Elliot calls it chemical agriculture, you know, because that's really essentially what it is, you know. PC term, you know, conventional ag, you know, but truthfully chemical ag in pretty much every aspect, you know, the animal farming, the vegetable farming, the monocultures that, you know, you require this, require that, and then like distribution of it at that, you know, we get a lot of our products, you know, from the other side of the country, but then just to get those products produced, they're at a processing facility on the other side of the country, and then the products on the other side of the world are sent. So there's just so much going on just for like something that ends up in our stomach. And when we pay like $1.25 for this, we're really paying like a little bit to support each one of them, which is good to support all the industry, right? And it's the thing.
A lot of gas though, man.
But exactly, man. There's a lot of destruction.
Unnecessarily, right.
Unnecessary
Local grown would be so much better.
A lot easier. So like to be just like have little bits here and there. So like a lot of these guys are even saying that, you know, and we all talk about like organic, right? And the terminology being a marketing thing, but they're doing it regenerative now. Even like Hudson Mills have regenerative food now, right? So think about that one. Think about now when they start using regenerative as just marketing now. So what you have to really do is we have to really discuss what we're doing. And when we're talking about growing crops or making food or anything, what we really have to discuss is, are we building soil? Because some of this organic, you know, you can still use harmful oils that are organic, you know what I mean? You can still use harmful whatever and be regenerative. So like, are you like building soil in a proper way? And so like the USDA now classifies liquids as organic. So you can have liquid hydroponic organic, which is not building soil at all. It's not building microbiology or anything.
It's approaching it from an A and B way still.
And it can be organic inputs, but is it actually organic farming? You know what I mean? Is it soil building? So like, I think that like there has to be kind of, okay, so there doesn't have to be like a difference, but like it's all under like the same umbrella of like natural farming, right? But the connotation organic of soil building isn't organic. It's something totally different. And same with regenerative, right? Because what's going to end up being happening is Hudson Mills and whatever other BlackRock company is just going to take it over and take over that and turn it into a marketing term for them. At least more people understand it and will be able to utilize it and say what we're doing. But the idea,
two completely different approaches though, man.
The idea will get washed and who knows what will happen. So hopefully the processes will remain, you know, the open grazing of, you know, the moving of livestock and things like that, allowing, you know, animals to be forested and smaller scales, so that like, you know, it's the abundance of cattle on a pasture and then like growing all of their feed on the other side of the country and then getting it processed on the other side of the world. And then it's all of that stuff that makes cows bad to the ecosystem. Like farming cows and eating beef isn't a bad thing. It's the large agricultural mentality of it. And so a lot of those, like I've just been in it for decades, following like all of the like John Kohler, growingyourgreens.com. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen his videos. He was one of the dudes that taught me about soil building and just, you know, a lot of his stuff, like reason I like learned about eating healthy.
Dr. Elaine Ingham.
Oh, and then Dr. Elaine Ingham threw just a curveball with the whole soil biology thing. Thank God people like Jeff Lowenfels, I got his books up here, like had those books and like threw it into the cannabis community, because that's where like I learned
that's teaming with microbes.
Yeah, they were like
teaming with fungi,
teaming with
what's the third one? I can't remember the third one.
Microbes, teaming with nutrients, and teaming with fungi, and then he just released teaming with bacteria that Becca just said.
Okay.
And we've yet to get that last one, but I still need to finish reading through these ones. But you know, fortunately, like
it's not something you can sit down and read from cover to cover, man.
Yeah, I gotta throw it into like the daily sit downs, you know.
Just grazing.
Yeah, it's been a great
this much, and I'm just gonna walk away.
You know, he's been on so many great podcasts that I've pretty much heard the book spoken through the man himself. You know, like pretty much Jeff Lowenfels has been on like everything, including like some of our local like close to home shows, you know what I mean? And he's a great speaker. So I understand it now, you know what I mean? I don't know how to like do the microscopy and stuff like that, but I can learn. And honestly, a lot of the other information of it all just makes so much sense, you know? And then once you get into putting animals into the picture and like utilizing a little bit of your own inputs and so the idea of okay, so here this is where I lost it. Not
this is our summation here.
Organic what should mean and just holistically mean is just no inputs, no external inputs, right? Everything is done closed loop. That should be organic, right? That should be regenerative. Just whatever you're doing, if you want to market it and brand it as it is, it should just be market closed loop. Like, I think closed loop is the next big one. I think that's what we should start saying. Instead of regenerative or instead of organic, like, is it just be closed loop? You know what I mean? Stop needing inputs. You know what I mean? Maybe you got to start with some inputs, and then you can say that's like some seeds, and you need like some minerals, you got raised beds or whatever, but get yourself a foundation going, and then start growing your own inputs, and then going and doing like what Potent Ponic Steve, just before this show, I was over watching his shit because he was showing how to collect IMO with rice, and collect your own IMO at your local state park, go in the national forest and set up a tent for the weekend and collect some IMO and go camping and bond with nature, and bring that shit home and brew it and inoculate your farm and your garden. And
JDOM and KNF. Yeah.
And it would be an external input.
Chris Trump.
Allow you to then regenerate your own inputs and then become closed loop. You can't just be closed loop from like an open field, right? You have to bring in things like wood, you have to bring in resources, but you can eventually, utilize that to kind of perpetually maintain, and not have to do so much. So like, I was kind of thinking about how it all worked out, and it's a product of capitalism, and I don't hate on capitalism, right?
Those damn fat cats.
It's what we're all do. We all have to like eat and survive. We all want to have businesses and things like that. But so you have a small farm, okay? It's a cannabis farm, it's a beef farm, whatever it is, okay? They got the best of the best, okay? And because it's whatever, it's holistic, it's healthy, it's organic, it's natural, it's great, and people recognize that and they pay the top dollar for it, right? We saw 5-pound chickens going for $20 at Whole Foods, online. There's a farm in Michigan, they're getting like 5 to 8 pound chicken, $40. That's a premium price. That's the same kind of price as what we were paying in the 1920s. It was about $4 for a 5-pound chicken. $4 for a 5-pound chicken with inflation today is about a $30 chicken, right? And then back then, people would pay $4 for a chicken. That's the same as paying today about $30 for a chicken. It was a big expense for somebody to pay $4 for a chicken. That was an expensive fucking chicken, man, for a $4 chicken. And we still have that farming pay scale still exists today, even with inflation, even though everything else has kind of been outward and out of whack. But what we see is we also have at the supermarket a $4 chicken. You can go to supermarkets today and get a $4 chicken. There's still at Whole Foods also a $4 chicken right next to a $20 chicken. But there's a huge difference in that quality of those meats, quality in the way that they're raised, the way the fat content, all of this stuff, right? So quality means so like when somebody's selling out and they're doing so good, the typical entrepreneur, if they're going to sell out, well, they're going to expand and get bigger. But the problem with natural products and the problem with like organic chemistry and everything is the bigger you expand, the more difficult it becomes to maintain those systems. So unless you scale it properly and you do things correctly, you start needing antibiotics and pesticides, and then all of a sudden you're like,
don't worry, those $4 chickens have got more than enough antibiotics for you and everyone in your family.
Exactly.
Through their fucking veins.
So now you're like, well, now we can compete with these guys. So now your motive, and all of a sudden the motive,
super bugs for all.
So I understand how we get from like small farms to large corporate farms, and I understand how it comes. I think the mentality though needs to shift, or else we are just going to totally deplete everything. And I don't want to take this too late.
You can't take on capitalism at 12:08 fucking AM, bro.
Too late on the show. What I want everybody to do is just plant some cannabis, plant some seeds, plant some spores, plant something.
We should definitely get into this next week.
Yeah, exactly. And go ahead, Abolish. You talk, man. Say it.
Oh no, I was just saying we kind of talked about this in our personal chat too earlier this week. I think it would be a good episode to just talk about the food system and all that.
Yeah, it always is. I like to bring it up every episode. Maybe next week maybe one day we'll really dive deep. Shout out to DP in chat. I don't know if he's still in chat hanging out or not, but
I think he is.
He has the Saturdays mental breakdown, and he gets in there with his buddy Rebecca, and they talk about some pretty heavy stuff. And like, speaking of cannabis and all that, we can have all these organic systems, but even we're thinking, because we smoke this stuff, PFAs are in everything. Those are forever.
They're in you.
They're in our PVC that we use and stuff like that. So we might want to work towards more poly in our lines rather than polyethylene. We need more polypropylene and stuff like that. So we need to be cautious and maybe help each other figure out what types of plastics we should be working on to make sure that our patients
None of them.
are better. Yeah, maybe it's no plastics at all. Maybe we figure out a better way to water our plants, and we just go straight copper line. And I'm thinking copper line, man. We got to be able to afford it though. That's the deal. So we
just
need
go back to peeing on our plants.
I dig it.
High nitrogen,
Carry
baby.
the water in the mouth. Glass pitchers are an option. Stainless steel is always an option, man. It's heavy, but better than
What if
plastic.
there's no BPAs? Is there still other?
I'm curious about that. Yeah, if is no BPA, that's another topic for another show, but is no BPA plastic no what is it called? PFAS.
No jive.
No jive. All right, Skilbo, anything else you got for us for this evening, my friend?
Thank you for always having the coolest conversations on here, man. I never know where we're going to go, and I never know where we're going to end up. We didn't quite circle the wagons all the way back. We'll have to fucking catch it on the next time through.
Show that jar again.
Show that jar.
Show that jar.
Show that jar.
There it is. We did start with that, didn't we?
We did start with that.
We really talked
Now
about.
we're all the way back
Polarity
around.
science. I mean, yeah, we talked about a little bit of that, and although we don't condone it all, we do support the education, the anecdotal stories, the fun times had, and we want to make sure that everybody's safe.
And the good vibes, man. Everybody's always good vibes in chat.
We can't stop people from consuming. We can only get information out there so that they can have a good ride, not a bad one. Abolish, you got anything else for us, my friend?
Just love you guys, chat. Love y'all too, and I hope everyone has a dank ass microdose night.
Oh yeah, Becca.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. Have a good night.
Oh yeah, I like what Aldridge said. Spandex, all spandex.
The OG's been so unquestionably quiet. What the fuck?
He's happy, man.
Aldridge has been kinky in chat tonight, man.
He's always
Action.
gone one.
He just lifted his head and he's looking at us like, "Are we going to bed yet?"
Good night, DOG.
THC's helping.
We both
out.
were looking at
THC might be helping out a little bit, and
Chill them out.
yeah, thank you all very much for tuning in this evening. If you are new and joining in, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're old and joining in, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you all very much. Anyways,
You could also be new and old at the same time.
new and old at the same time. And if you're, we're all new. Live new. Live. Don't be a wall sign. But do all of it.
Don't be a wall sign.
But do all of the things.
We watched a comedy last night,
Don't
and
be a
that's how we
fly on the wall.
ended it. He said, "Live, laugh."
Trying to wrap it up.
You're gonna wrap it up with the lightsaber.
With the lightsaber. I want to have everybody have a wonderful night. Peace out, y'all. Thank
Night.
you all so much for tuning in. Rock and roll. All just doing the lightsaber though.
Lightsaber tricks.
Pew pew. It has ended. Cool. Cool.